It's 3 a.m. You're lying in bed, your face is glowing blue from your phone screen, and you're watching a video titled, How to Optimize Your Morning Routine for Maximum Focus. You've already watched 4 others just like it. You feel inspired. You feel like you're finally getting your life together. But here's the cold, hard truth that hit me like a physical punch last month. You aren't being productive. You're just high. You're addicted to the feeling of potential without ever actually doing the work. This is productivity porn, and it is the silent killer of every dream you've ever had. I spent 3 years in this loop. I had the Notion templates, the color-coded calendars, and the $40 journals. I knew every secret about deep work, but my actual life was a mess. My grades were slipping, my creative projects were untouched, and I was perpetually exhausted from doing nothing. So 30 days ago, I did something radical. I deleted every productivity app, unsubscribed from every self-help guru. What happened next wasn't just a change in my schedule and quit the grind entirely. It was a complete rewiring of my brain. If you feel like you're constantly running in place while everyone else is moving forward, you need to hear this. Let's talk about that specific brand of guilt. You know the one. It's that heavy feeling in your chest when you spend 6 hours researching how to start a business or how to study for finals, but you haven't actually opened a textbook or a laptop. We've been lied to. We've been told that consuming content is the first step to success. But for most of us, content is just a sophisticated form of procrastination. We call it learning, but our brains treat it like a hit of dopamine. When you see a creator in a minimalist office talking about their 4 a.m. wake-up call, your brain releases a chemical reward as if you actually woke up at 4 a.m. yourself. You get the prize without the race. This is why you feel so motivated at midnight and so useless by noon. I realized I was a professional preparer. You're living in a simulation of success. I was preparing to live, preparing to work, and preparing to be happy. But the preparation had become the destination. I was stuck in the anti-grind cycle where the more I learned, the less I did, and the more I felt like a failure. It's a vicious loop that feeds on your ambition. So day one of the experiment started. I felt naked. Usually, I'd start my day with a 20-minute podcast about winning the morning. Without it, the silence was deafening. I realized I'd been using productivity content to drown out my own fear of failure. If I'm busy learning, I can't fail at doing, right? But the silence forced me to look at my to-do list. It was bloated. It had 20 items on it, most of which were organize desk or update habit tracker. I deleted 18 of them. I realized that 90% of what I thought was work was actually just maintenance. This is the first big secret I discovered. Most of your busy work is just a way to avoid the one thing that actually scares you. For a student, it's that one difficult essay. For a creator, it's hitting record. We build these massive productivity systems to hide the fact that we're terrified of that one big task. I decided to focus on just one thing. No timers, no specialized lighting, no lo-fi beats to study to. Just me and the work. And for the first time in months, I actually finished something. By the end of the first week, the withdrawal symptoms were real. I felt like I was falling behind. We live in a culture that treats doing more as a religion. If you aren't multitasking, you're losing. But I noticed something strange. Even though I was doing less, I was accomplishing more. My brain was starting to recover its attention span. Usually after 10 minutes of work, I'd instinctively reach for my phone to find a work hack video to keep me going. Since I'd banned those, I had nowhere to go. I had to sit with the boredom. And that's where the magic is. Boredom is the waiting room for brilliance. When you stop filling every gap in your day with self-improvement noise, your own ideas finally have room to breathe. I started having original thoughts again. I wasn't just parroting some guy on the internet. I was solving my own problems. I realized that most gurus are selling you a one-size-fits-all suit. But productivity is actually a custom-tailored garment. You can't find your rhythm if you're always listening to someone else's beat. Midway through the month, I hit the wall. The sophisticated procrastination tried to sneak back in under a new name, optimization. I caught myself spending 2 hours trying to find the perfect font for a document. I realized that perfectionism is just productivity porn in a tuxedo. It's the same demon. It's the belief that if the system isn't perfect, the work isn't worth doing. I had to implement what I call the ugly first draft rule. I forced myself to produce work that was intentionally bad. I wrote scripts that were messy. I did practice problems without checking the answers every 2 minutes. I allowed myself to be a beginner again. This is where the relief started to kick in. The pressure to be a high-performance human disappeared. I wasn't an optimized machine anymore. I was just a person doing a task. And guess what? The work was actually better. When you stop obsessing over the process, you finally start caring about the product. Let's talk about the guilt-free zone. This was the biggest breakthrough of the 30 days. Before this experiment, my entire day was stained with guilt. If I was working, I felt I should be working harder. If I was resting, I felt I should be working. Because I was always plugged into the productivity world, I never felt like I'd done enough. But in the anti-grind framework, work has a clear beginning and a clear end. I stopped tracking my habits. I stopped timing my breaks. I just worked until I was genuinely tired, and then I stopped. And when I stopped, I was actually present. I could watch a movie or hang out with friends without that nagging voice in my head telling me I should be hustling. I realized that the productivity industry sells us the idea that we are projects to be fixed. But you aren't a project. You're a person. You don't need to be fixed. You just need to be engaged with your life. As I entered the final week, my energy levels did something I didn't expect. They leveled out. I used to have massive spikes of motivation followed by days of complete burnout. That's the porn productivity cycle. You watch a video, you get hyped, you overwork for 6 hours, and then you collapse for 3 days. It's unsustainable. Without the external hype, I found a steady, low-burning fire. It wasn't flashy. It wouldn't make a good aesthetic montage. It was just consistent. I was showing up every day, doing the boring stuff, and moving the needle just a little bit. I realized that boring is actually the highest form of productivity. If your routine feels like a cinematic masterpiece, you're probably performing for an audience that isn't there. Real progress is quiet. Real progress is the mundane repetition of the basics. I had finally traded the high of inspiration for the satisfaction of discipline. So 30 days later, what is the anti-grind solution for you? It's not about never watching a video again, it's about the 1 to 10 ratio. For every 1 minute of how-to content you consume, you owe the world 10 minutes of doing. If you watch a 10-minute video on study tips, you don't get to watch another one until you've studied for 100 minutes. No exceptions. This breaks the dopamine loop. It forces you to earn your information. I also want you to try the rule of 3. Every morning, write down 3 things that will actually change your life if you finish them. Not 20 things, not a list of nice-to-haves, just 3. If you do those 3, you've won the day. You're allowed to turn off your brain. You're allowed to exist without optimizing. This simple shift takes the power back from the algorithm and puts it back into your hands. The truth no one wants to hear is that the secret you're looking for doesn't exist. There is no perfect app. There is no magic morning routine. There is no hidden Japanese habit that will suddenly make you a millionaire without effort. The secret is that you already know what you need to do. You're just using productivity content to avoid doing it. You're looking for a shortcut to the finish line, but the struggle is the only thing that actually builds the muscle. The anti-grind isn't about being lazy. It's about being honest. It's about admitting that you've been hiding behind your planners and your aesthetic notes. It's time to stop being a spectator of your own potential. It's time to get your hands dirty. Tonight, when you finish this video, I want you to do something uncomfortable. Don't click on the next recommended video. Don't go to the comments to type "this inspired me." Don't go look for a new Notion template to track what you just learned. I want you to turn off your phone, put it in another room, sit at your desk or open your book, and do the one task you've been avoiding for the last week. Do it badly. Do it messily. Just do it for 15 minutes. That's the only way to break the spell. You've spent enough time watching other people live their lives. It's time to start living yours. The guilt only disappears when the action begins. You don't need more how to. You need more do. Let's stop being productive and start being effective. Let's level up together for real this time. Turn the screen off. Go.